Hi, everybody. Welcome to the last week of 2020. Yes. I know we're all excited about it, even though it looks like 2021 is not going to have a whole lot of changes, but we do have a vaccine, if that's exciting news for some people. And hopefully we can get this under control so everybody can be open, everybody can be working, and everybody can be thriving again. So I'm excited to kind of share this last episode with you before the year ends. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started. So a couple of things that I'm going to be doing differently while I'm taking care of the share screen here. Going into 2021 is I'm kind of opening this up for other businesses outside of salons. So small businesses that are in the health and beauty and wellness world, because I want to be able to expand the people that I can help and get some good things going here. All right, looks like we're on a share here. Also, we've got the Thrive Over Survive 12-week program that's coming up. I'll share that with you in the end of our program today. But as you know, that the SOS Salon Business podcast is all about building brands that survive while developing people that thrive. And you all know that once, you can build a brand and the brand can actually be bigger than you, but you have to be able to grow yourself in order for your business to grow. And I think sometimes we get overwhelmed by that process of being able to learn new things to be able to grow. And let's face it, business is different today than it was 2 years ago. Even in 2019, 10 years ago, a lot's changed, and we have to be able to look at ways that we can grow our businesses in the most easeful way that we can and the most impactful way that we can. So the SOS is really about creating a strategic opportunity for success. And the more strategic that you can be, the more powerful your success can be. Now, this is not an easy process, and it certainly hasn't been an easy process for me because I can get bored easily. I have that shiny thing syndrome as well. And I'll just, it's hard for me to stay consistent to things. So, try one or two times and it doesn't work and we kind of give up, and, like a diet, like resolutions going into the new year. But I want to reassure you that the way that we need to build business today can be fun and exciting and consistent. The way that we can transfer ourselves and our brand into our business to be able to grow it within our community is going to be the savior. It's going to be the savior of what we're going to need to do going into 2021. And to be able to, trust that what you're doing in the salon needs to transfer to outside of the salon, because the word of mouth from back in the day is less likely to happen now that we're very isolated. So I was working with one of my clients that attended the SOS hiring boot camp, and she was interested in looking at hiring somebody to be able to do some, marketing and branding for her particular salon. And I had shared with her how I kind of like perceive and preview the things that I do. And I always say that, my position as a director of marketing for Intrigue Salon here in Atlanta is to be able to make sure that I am in communication with clients, whether they're existing or whether I'm looking for new clients. My role is to be able to communicate and create awareness of our brand within our community. My role is also to be able to find talent to be able to come and work within our salon in our community. So I'm kind of the external expert of being able to drive traffic, drive sales, and drive business within the salon. Okay. And that's really what all of this SOS that I've been doing for this past year has been about. So the sum strategy that we really focus on here is sales, operations, mindset, marketing, and education. And as you know, and if you've listened to my podcast before, each and every week, I go through one of these categories and kind of depict it out a little bit, go a little bit deeper into the topic of it. Because any one of these categories, sales, operation, mindset, marketing, and education, has many, many layers to it. Okay. So it's an ocean within an ocean here, with all these categories. And we're going to close out the year with sales, and we're going to start the year back up next week with sales, because sales is probably one of the most important areas of opportunity that we're going to have to look at going into the next year. So thanks for joining me again. I'm your host, Bonnie Bonadeo, for the Salon Business Success Podcast, and also for the Salon Business Success Coaching and the coaching and training programs that I offer around the SOS brand here. Now, we're going to get started today, and we're going to look at sales, like I said, and we're going to look at sales going into 2021 as well. But this show is called The Bitter End, The Bitter End. Now, how many of you guys actually use analogies and adages and, references, meme type references that you're not even sure where they come from? Okay. You use them and you're not sure where they come from. Well, there's a ton of things that we say on a regular and ongoing basis that are kind of around the boating and sailing world that I've used as a theme for this podcast. And sometimes we say things that we're not even quite sure what they mean in reference to where they came from. And, the bitter end was one of those references that, we've used. So we've all said, oh gosh, it's, all the way to the bitter end. And of course, it's kind of like creating that closure of calamity, right? Which 2020 has definitely been calamity for us all. But, from the boating and sailing arena of the bitter end, it's kind of talking about, the final part of the anchor line that goes down. And, when you get to that bitter end, it's still attached to the boat, but that's as far as it goes. So we're going to look at the bitter end of 2020. Like, this is as far as it goes. And you have to be able to kind of sense, what do I need to still bring into 2021? And what can I let go of in leaving 2020? Because it's really time to release the past and then set sail for the new year. And to really look at, what are the new horizons that you're going to challenge yourself with? What's new that you're going to take on, try on, learn, grow from? And what are you going to leave behind? And, one of the most important things that you can leave behind is limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs that you're too old to learn something new. Limiting beliefs that, your business is not going to be able to grow even into 2021. Limiting beliefs that, you can't learn something new. And any limiting beliefs that are preventing you from being able to go into this next year with some hope, with some real hope. Okay. I mean, one of the things that we looked at in 2020 was, okay, so the pandemic hit and corona virus was screaming at us. And we all did the best that we could to comply. And it was hard because even when we did comply in certain things, it didn't really prevent the virus from going away. California is a perfect example of that. They're on total lockdown in the majority of that state, and it's still out of control. Now they're finding new strains, blah, 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 blah. So it feels a little hopeless when we look at it that way. I watched the show called, 2020 on CBS last night, and they kind of went through things that happened in 2020. And the shocking thing is that things that happened in 2020 from January to March until we went into the lockdown, it was like, oh my God, that was this year. So I looked back at, what did I start to do in 2020? What was I working on in 2020? And I was shocked that some of the things that I had done in 2020 that felt like that was years ago, felt like years and years and years ago. Okay. But it is time to release the past and set sail for the new year. We do have the vaccine coming out, and we really have to pride these scientists on the time they spent to be able to come up with some vaccines. We really have to pride, our government as much as we can on, creating abundance of time and money and energy to be able to come to these conclusions. And it looks like, at this point, we have 2 approved vaccines, and probably in the very first part of this next year, we'll even have a 3rd vaccine. Now, we don't know a lot about it, and we don't know a lot of the results on it, but it's only because there's still a lot of unknowns in regards to the virus. Now, that's not the case with your business, okay? If at this point, at the end of the year, you should be able to have a snapshot of how your year went. And then, of course, we always look at, from a coaching standpoint with my clients, we always look at those year-to-date figures. Now, I know many of you do not want to look at this. You don't want to stare at it. You don't even want to be present to it, because it could be quite depressing to be able to see how this year has impacted your business and how it's impacted your sales. But I'm going to kind of force you go down to the bitter end here and really poke around at things so that you've got this kind of list of areas that are a little bit of circumstance. You can't change what's happened. You can't change what has existed. But to also be able to look at some of the successes in there that you may not be aware of, or that you've kind of, just overlooked, because we're still very much in, this survival mode of this pandemic. And, the most important thing I can tell you guys right now is that sales are everything. Like, you've really got to know where you stand, because you're going to have to make some challenging choices going into 2021 to maintain that level of survival and to get out of survival mode and into thrive mode. Okay. I see so many people making the mistake of kind of making the circumstances that have happened about them, instead of really catering to a value-based business that's about how you're serving the client. And, if anything can shift going into this next year, you're going to see a much better year than you had previously. Okay. But Lord knows it's been challenging, right? It's been very challenging. So if we look at, what has happened in the bitter end, we want to be able to say, what has 2020 brought to us? What's something that we can look at that has had a successful result? What's the now moment in it all that you can look back on it and just say, I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for the observation of it. I'm grateful for the slowdown. I'm grateful that I had a chance to kind of really look at where I was spending my time and my money and my energy, and to be able to narrow down areas of opportunities that I think can make an impact and, support and celebrate more people in that. And, and I did look at my sales for 2020. And the truth is I found other opportunities, because as an entrepreneur, I am very and highly resourceful. So I found other opportunities. Now, so if half of my income was going to go away because I wasn't going to be doing speaking engagements or live trainings and events, then I had to be able to figure out how I was going to be able to make some of that money up. And so I certainly did it through online training, online coaching. I did it through being able to get other agreements with salons to be able to help them out with their marketing and branding. So I didn't end up as bad as I thought I would. And actually, I'm quite proud of how resourceful I shifted to be able to find new sources of revenue. Now, I know sometimes when you own a brick and mortar business, you kind of create limits around what you see as revenue resources. All right. Revenue resources. Now, I want you to kind of let that go. I want you to be able to, even though you might have a brick and mortar business, I want you to let go of thinking that the only way that you're going to make money is by selling services or selling product. Because the truth is that there's probably multiple ways to be able to sell things within that. And it still can be within the structure of your business. But to be able to create that strategic focus on it, that remember, strategic opportunities is going to equal success. You want to be able to look at everything that you're actually selling here, okay? So have you looked at your sales for 2020 yet? And I know the year's not over yet, but the truth is you have a snapshot on this. You got one day left, today and tomorrow left, to be able to say, we're going to close out the year. And we're going to look at your total gross and your total net. Okay. This is the challenge that I want you to do before you get into the end of next week. Okay. This is the challenge. Make a list of the cause and effect, of a very detailed list of the cause and effect. Okay. Like plop down your gross sales number and then your gross net number to be able to see, because the truth is there might be areas of opportunities that you could be better off from a profit standpoint than you thought. Your sales might be down, but your profits may not be down by the same percentage that your sales are down, depending on how you manage your business over the course of the year. So we're going to look at areas that were up, and we're going to look at areas that were down. Okay. And here's some ideas and some suggestions that you can do. Now, what I want you to do is I just want you to get a piece of paper, regular notepad, and I want you to just, draw a line all the way down the center of it. And I want you to put, what looked like it increased. And it could be by dollar, could be by volume, could be by just, stating it. It doesn't have to be specific in that thing. And then on the other column, it's going to be what is down. So you're going to look at what's up. Okay. So did you increase your prices at any point in 2020? So some of your prices went up. Okay. Any particular services that went up? In other words, did you do more colors than you did the previous year? Okay. Did you do more smoothing treatments or, retouches, whatever it is? Look to see if there's an increase in any one area. Was it more highlights? Was it less retouches type of thing? So look and see where there was an uptick in a particular service, because if you know that to be true in 2020, that might be something that you want to continue to market and promote going into 2021. Was there any particular area in your retail sales that were up? Okay. It could be a particular product or a particular brand or a selection of things that you sold more of this year than you did previously. Okay. Were your gift card sales up this year? Okay. What about cost of goods? Did you have some cost of goods that went up? In other words, did your color costs go up? Did miscellaneous items that you provide as essential service tools, did those go up? What about PPE? Okay, so that was something we didn't plan on spending money on, and certainly that went up. Did you have new staff? Did you increase your new staff? Did you increase your payroll going into 2020? Is there potential for new clients? Do you have a new client record? Can you see how many new clients you actually did in 2020? Because even though there might have been a loss of existing clients in 2020 and or staff, you might have gotten new clients. So there might be a new client campaign that you can do going into 2021. Of course, you have to calculate in the time off. So the number of days that you were closed and evaluate them, more apples to apples than looking at all of what you did in 2019 to 2020, because there were